Hey, I'm Rob from JTRpodcast.com, and at Airecon 5 I played Comanauts. Now this is going to be a spoiler-free overlook. I'm going to give generic examples and just a brief overview of gameplay. Players play cooperatively as Comanauts. Explore the subconscious dreamscape of coma patient Dr. Martin Strobel, easy for me to say, defeat the prime inner demon to help rescue him from his coma, and save the world. So the game is played in an adventure book. As you can see, it not only gives you the stories and the rules for the certain scenarios, but also acts as the board for the varying locations. Each player has a different avatar. I have this futuristic guy who's got a singularity beam, and there's other characters like this elven fantasy style character. The game is played over 7 steps, which are on this handy card. I'll go over each of these steps now and how they affect the game so you get the idea of how the game plays. Step 1 is draw 5 dice. You don't need to roll them no matter how tempting it is, and I just kept doing it automatically because it's fun. Step 2 is gain clarity. Any white dice you've drawn, you roll. If you roll higher than the number of clarity tokens you have, you will gain a clarity token. Each player has an ability that needs you to spend 3 clarity tokens to activate. I barely drew any white dice, so I never got to do this. Step 3 is place threat. Look at the black dice you've drawn. The ones with white pips go on the threat track, the ones with red pips go on the threat track, but only if the situation in the game has flipped from safe to hostile. This will activate in step 7, which is called check threat. The track is always looming over the game. Step 4 is place inner child. If the one transparent blue die is drawn, you have contacted the inner child of Dr. Strobel. Draw a vital signs card, roll the die and place it on the card to show its strength. In some locations, you will need to place the inner child standing on the board. The inner child will have various effects on the game based on the current scenario. It's hard to get into it without giving any spoilers, but drawing that die will give you a brief ooh moment. Step 5 is perform actions. Use any remaining dice to take the actions. The actions available on the flip side of the reference card. Colours matter for different actions. For most actions, you roll a die and see what the result is. You can roll multiple dice of the same colour and add their total together when taking a test. Some spaces have story elements furthering the story that you read from the book. Red dice is for attacking and strength checks. Green is for ranged and agility checks. Green can also be used to move over tricky terrain signified by a green line on the map for you to move through. Yellow is for searching and intelligence checks. There will be tokens on the board to search, to gain items, clues, etc. Blue is for resistance tasks, and purple is a wild card. In step 6 you discard any unused dice, although you can lock one on your board for future turns. Step 7, as mentioned earlier, is check threat. Here you would check to see if there's enough black dice on the threat track to trigger the threat. Again, this is story based and will vary game to game, location to location. Without going into spoiler territory, you can, of course, fail to complete the scenario, but if players discover and defeat the prime ID, they win. The stories are great. They're sad, gory in places, but really great. They make you feel for this Dr. Strobel, this fake person you haven't met. I felt sorry for him. I guess these feelings will only grow playing scenario after scenario. Drawing the dice is a fun mechanism. You look at the colours and think yes when you see lots of different colours, especially on the wild purple dice. You think, oh no, when you see 2 more black dice, and then feel relief when you realise they have red dots, but the situation is hostile, so they won't go on the threat track. Although that will mean you have fewer dice for actions, sometimes you can only have 1 or 2 dice to take actions with, which can be disappointing. The book is good, but it's easy to read the spoilers and see what you need to do on that page in order to further the story, and something to avoid if you think it's going to cause you a problem. A Mansions of Madness style app will work great with this game, as it would have done with another Plaid Hat game, Dead of Winter. This isn't the first storybook game, but the story is more appealing to me than in Mice and Mystics, and the adult theme is more appealing than Stuffed Fables, as adorable as that game looks. But as with all open information co-op games, this could be dominated by an alpha gamer. Now this is a game I could see myself playing solo, playing 2, maybe 3 characters, but it is expensive at £60, even if it does come with a ton of cards, tokens and standees. Let me know what you think of this game in the comments below. Remember to like, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at JTRpodcast to find the blog and the podcast at jtrpodcast.com. I've been Rob aka Jesta ThaRogue, and I'll see you soon.